All right, hello and welcome to the SCL5 cast for week 2. With me, I have Taboshi, and Warning
Tabosho.
Trek.
Both work.
Yeah. If you ever start a show, Taboshi, call it the Tabo Show.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to be starting off with a live game of Yeesh versus OpiWrites. Has the draft completed? Do we know?
Yeah, it should be in the casters channel there. Yeesh has started by banning Tayen, and Opie has responded with a ban of Gallery. Yeesh has then doubled Modern. Opie, no surprise, has doubled Library, one of his favorite venues. Yeesh's second pick is Pub, and Opie's final choice is Ballroom.
All right, what does that tell us about these players?
Well, with Yeesh, I just think it's like he feels moderately confident about this. Tayen is something you generally ban, I think. We don't really have a strong meta on the ban on Tayen yet, but I think it's what you ban if you think a straight up game is most likely to win you the set. You know, if you want to lean away from that variance and that randomness. And I think he really likes his pacing on Modern. I think that's probably the point of the pick there. With Gallery, I think that's a response to the fact that OP banning Gallery is because Yeesh is really good at walking bugs, and you're going to get away with a good walking bug on Gallery very often. And OP has always felt comfortable in Library. He plays a very aggressive spy, so Library suits that.
Alrighty, I believe that we are waiting on the live match to get underway.
You ready?
I think that
Yep.
other than that, we are about ready to
Yeah.
go.
They are just about ready to start. They should be beginning any second now. This is really interesting in a meta sense. Yeesh is a hard player to peg because we know Yeesh is good. We don't know exactly how good because the last time they played was in SCL Season 3 before the Winter Cup, in which case they lost in a moderate upset in the first elimination round of the Winter Cup as well to Ryu. But Ryu is also really good, and we're not sure how good, so we don't know how much that meant. All we know is that Yeesh is generally very skilled and clearly is capable of some very high level play, but we haven't seen them play at this level for very long before. And now they're up against someone who's actually brand new to SCL, but has already shown themselves to be very skilled themselves. So this is a very difficult matchup to predict.
Yeah, this could go basically anybody's way. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how this shakes out, and like you were saying, it's just very difficult to call.
Yep. I think so. I think most people on paper, they're going to see Yeesh's game count. They're going to know Yeesh's reputation as well. And they're going to say, wow, this looks like you should take this. I think you have to consider Yeesh the favorite for those reasons. But on the other hand, I don't think Opie's going to make it easy for him. Opie does a lot of prep. I think there are some tendencies there of Yeesh that he can at least notice. Yeesh knows them. How much he counterplays them will be a big story here potentially. But I would not at all be surprised if this is close.
And here we go, opening up the festivities on Modern. Yeesh opening up on the Spiral. OpiWrites on the Sniper in any 5 of 8.
And that looks like a take control and redirect almost immediately from Yeesh. That's the kind of thing Yeesh would shoot for, but not necessarily get shot himself for.
Very interesting stuff. Does manage to pick up 51% flirt at the windows to open the game, and that can be quite powerful, especially if he felt bold enough and like Opie wouldn't peg him for going for a double there.
Yeah. It looked for a second like he was going to try to push it, but I think this is the wiser decision. But you really do have to keep your pacing up on Modern. This is one of the reasons KCM's so good at it, is because he's so good at pacing in general. So I think pacing, kind of an underrated thing. It doesn't matter as much on other venues as it does in Modern. On Modern, it's almost not possible to get to a mission win state without good pacing.
Blue book in hand, getting ready to contact the double agent, just waiting for a few people to settle down into conversations before he pulls the trigger on it.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty decent time if he does it soon.
No. Back and going to put the book away back where it came from. Had a failed bug on the way through there, but it was not very easy to notice.
This is not a great time to microfilm if he wants to do it.
And he does, but man, the pillar of the window gets in the way. Oh, Yeesh manages to pocket the blue microfilm without issue.
It would not shock me if Opie actually saw something there. The arm was fairly visible. There wasn't a lot of cover, but you could see what Yeesh was trying to do there. Sometimes you get a low light or less suspicion in general when you go back to the bookshelf rather than dump the book. And when that happens, you can get away with the microfilm for free sometimes. But at this point, there's just no reason to shoot. It's modern. There are so few venues where the sniper can be this confident that they're not done, right? If they're trying to be patient in their shot, you can only be so patient on ballroom without being worried you missed a bug or a fingerprint or something. But on modern, you can be very confident of it, which makes it very hard to tell when the sniper is actually on someone early.
Double Agent didn't feel like hanging around in that conversation for us, but the seduction target did, so we're up to 85%. Now, picking up the second half of the microphone with the green bookcase, and I think that was seen. OpiWrites picks up game number 1.
And that's kind of a bummer, the way that happens. I've said this before. Sometimes I'm bummed out when someone gets shot for something because it means we're not going to know till after the match what they actually saw early on. It's entirely possible that he was flirt paired there even. That was a very aggressive flirt. People don't try to flirt pair on Modern very often, but if they make a cursory effort to, sometimes those first flirts are very obvious.
Absolutely. And OpiWrites, as we're seeing in this game, absolutely no slouch. Yeesh put up a pretty decent game, I'd say, but microfilm, especially the animation microfilm, is not an easy thing to get by someone.
No, especially 2 white tests, right? And if he's looking at him even a little bit there, he's going to see something like that. He definitely kept it in view. My best guess is slight suspicion for the flirt. Thought he might have seen the first microfilm, but at that point, there's no reason to shoot. And then he's staring down the next one. Once you get your teeth into someone on Modern, it's over. You have to move around so much and be so active, as I said earlier, that if you're not framing someone, if they start to look at you, you're going to look very spy-like in a hurry. The way you win is by blending into the crowd through the sheer amount of motion there. But in so many of these venues, but Modern in particular, if they're already looking at you, you're in big trouble.
All right. Looks like we're getting round 2 set up. One or the other of these guys really likes the replays, as far as I can tell.
I think that's probably Yeesh trying to figure out, okay, which thing was it that got me shot?
Yeah, probably. OpiWrites stepping into the spy role here on Modern. Yeesh on the sniper for game number 2. Opening things up at the blue bookcase as Papa Danger.
Yeah, we really don't have any SCL data on Yeesh from Modern, again, because Modern is new to Season 4, and Yeesh was in basic training, I think it was at the time, so he took a year off, which is one of the reasons, again, that there can be a divergence when you talk about predictions about how well Yeesh is going to do.
Look at this. OpiWrites just takes a step into a innocent conversation. The double agent steps in next to him. That could be interesting, considering the number of people in conversation here.
He knows his opponent. He's saying that Yeesh is the kind of person who will take those behavioral lowlights, and I want to go fishing.
Well, fishing or not, he hasn't caught a lowlight on his line yet as he steps in for his first flirt. It's a green test, nice and close for 51%. 2 flirt potential is on the table.
The likelihood that he has a low light is probably going to inform what he does with this book. If he thinks he has to keep fishing and dangle that line a little bit, he might go back to blue before removing it. If he dumps it in another shelf, then he's testing the theory right away. We know he doesn't have it. He's going to split instead.
Double Agent has been very kind. We've had a lot of opportunities, but he knows where that book has come from. And OpiWrites is not going to get it away scot-free, especially after that split. It's 1-1.
We have 2 dead spies, both bodies lying right in front of the green bookshelf, both snipers totally on it, barely any mission completes, and it's 1-1. And both of them go blue to green, by the way. Kind of standard there. Red is maybe the riskiest.
Yeah.
And that was quick. That was really quick.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had a couple of games so far being snipped off early. That one a little bit faster than the previous, but it's 1-1 for the snipers. And Yeesh steps himself back into the spy shoes for the second time around. OpiWrites on the sniper once more, and this time we're starting things out at the bar for 41% on the flirt as well.
And Yeesh with the aggressive flirt again. And by the way, remember, Opie probably saw that in the replay. He knows he rushed that before, but in this case, he gets out real quick, and it's less obvious on the back of the venue than in the front.
Innocent conversation here, hanging out with a suspected double agent. Not much to play for in this particular spot, but he's in a good position to reach a lot of points on the map quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And the party has broken up into groups rather neatly. There hasn't been a ton of movement so far. It's kind of settled down quicker than normal.
Into blue bookcase. The
And a
starting
quick
point
delegate.
for every transfer so far. But yeah, the delegate onto Seek.
Onto one of the SDAs, which he doesn't know. That's significant.
That's very significant.
It's so quick, though. If Opie remembers these bar visitors, he's going to have this down to about 4 people early in a Modern game. And as I mentioned, that doesn't work on Modern unless you're going to frame.
No, it doesn't get off in time, though. There was someone ahead of him in the line, and he's not able to get the drink before the timer runs out.
That may have actually been good luck for Yeesh because, again, didn't know, presumably, he was delegated to the SDA. Yeesh does like to try to figure out who the SDAs are, but A, you got to figure out 2 of them on Modern, and B, I doubt he figured it out that quick.
Back in the blue bookcase we go. This is a lot of time spent with not much gain.
Yeah, not great at all. Opie, on the other hand, his default position, all else being equal, is to shoot. So there's a really good chance that you should not have to complete here. On the other hand,
Look
I can't.
at the party over here!
This is looking crazy. The only complication with Opie generally wanting to shoot is that a good sniper will very often feel they have a lot of control on Modern. It's not the kind of thing where you think, I missed something, oh god, I've got to shoot, the mission win screen could pop up. Generally speaking, you have a strong feeling about whether or not something's going to be done.
Both white tests!
There were a lot of people at Windows, but I'm not sure any of them checked their watch. So that is an understandable risk to take, but if none of them watch check, that can be dangerous.
But if he catches it too late, didn't see the watch check, but did see the timer go up, he's not going to know.
Yeah, maybe. It seems like such a weird time, but after all that wasted time you mentioned, he's got it all back in one window visit.
Seduction target sidles up to him, picks up a white test, 75% is where we stand.
We've got 2 flirts, and both of them are at the bar, just like real life. I mean, typically, Yeesh, I will point out, people do flirt in conversation circles occasionally. It's pretty rare, I'll grant you.
Grabs another drink and another delegate to go with it. And steps back all the way out here again, looking to send Alice to the bar this time around, it looks like.
Yeah, and this time I think he's going to try to make sure it takes. Maybe not cut it quite as close.
There it goes. Both leaves at the same time. A nice little walking bug. Started at a bit of an angle, but moved to directly across just after that. I'm not sure how visible it was. Visible enough for a highlight, apparently.
Yeah, I don't think the bug was seen. I think it's just that could be a bug. And that's big trouble because when you look at the mission progress here, and you look at the number of suspects, if Yeesh is genuinely one of them, and it's not just sort of a rote, could have bugged kind of highlight, then he's going to have a lot of trouble finishing. On the other hand, Boots has been pretty darn active.
You were saying earlier on, this is a hard map to slip by the sniper on if you've already been noticed.
Yep.
The best way to get through this is by not being seen at all, and once again, Boots just barely does not make it to the bar in time.
Alice fell just short. He actually almost nailed it on the timing. It was just a couple seconds short. And by the way, he walked out on the delegate into the bug while a highlight was coming off for a statue visit on General. So it was a great sequence of events. And if the Purloin had taken, he would have totally flipped this game. But now that's 2 failed Purloins and 2 time ads. And I don't know if he can finish unless something goes right very, very soon.
Under a minute and 30, 2 completions and no extra progress. This is going to be so difficult.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how much he's been doing so much, and when the spy is doing this many things at once, usually their grasp of the party and who the likely suspects are is not as good as it would normally be. So there's a chance that Yeesh doesn't know, for example, that maybe he's been looking at Boots a bit. I think Boots is done with inspects, for example, as indicated by the highlight. She's been at green bookshelves, she's talking a lot, she's in a full conversation. Boots might be a decent frame target here. Yeesh is doing so many different things that his odds of knowing who the best frame targets are lower than usual.
Into conversation with the double agent we go. We're running very low on time, but we've got to hit this contact if we're going to induce a shot. Doesn't necessarily have to be real, but in this case, it is going to be, I think. Actually, that wasn't the contact. That was just a regular talk. Now is the contact coming off.
Banana bread.
And Boots is not in with an SDA. In fact, both SDAs are out. That is way narrowed down.
Oh
Yep.
no, the shot comes off. That is a painful loss for Yeesh.
So this is a mix of mistakes, small mistakes, and bad luck, because both purloins nearly went off. Now, obviously, that's still on the spy, but, nobody times it that precisely. If you get it close, it could have easily gone the other way based on a couple other factors. Someone beat them to bar. In that case, that was actually a pretty understandable time to BB. Could not have reasonably guessed from the number of people in conversation that both of the other DAs were out.
Either way, it is a sniper win, by far the longest we've had so far.
Yeah, it's 4:30 to start on Modern and 2 time ads, and neither spy has gotten anywhere near a mission win countdown.
Man, the snipers so far have been absolutely on point. It's nice of these gentlemen to actually give us a bit of time to breathe between these games, because you often don't get that on live matches.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that. I like the forward momentum sometimes, but in this case, a little bit of analysis between games is nice. And speaking of analysis, OpiWrites has now guaranteed at least a split on Yeesh's doubled map. That is a victory unto itself.
Absolutely. Here we go, getting ready for the next one. Opie with his last spy game on Modern, looking to try to pull ahead on Yeesh's map, who is sniping to keep things tied up.
I mean, the only thing Yeesh can feel good about right now, maybe, is that in that second game, they seem to get away with a lot more. And if a couple things go a little differently, maybe that works out. Maybe if that second purloin, for example, that was timed so well goes off, that's 3 missions done, one of them visible. Maybe Opie feels like he has to, shoot there. 3 at shelves early on, and Yeesh is definitely taking notice of that. He's zoomed in on it and highlighting people.
Opie with a very slow start here. You can tell he's really staring down a seduction target who bails on him.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. And Opie doesn't know it, though. Opie doesn't know that Yeesh was really looking there at Rocker and Pearls for maybe flirting, cramming into that blue bookshelf.
Stepping into statues to try to get some progress off the top of this game after being shunned by the seduction target. Does get a pair of inspects for his trouble.
Gonna be a little harder to frame Pearls even if you wanted to, because again, that's the slowest character. I personally require a little more convincing than normal if I think she's gonna be the spy. And yup, after wasting a little bit of time there, well, Yeesh bumps her up and down a couple times.
OpiWrites, once again, slow start, sort of going from pad to pad, more or less aimlessly, hit the statue in between, but now we're in conversation with the double agent, and there are a lot of other people talking as well.
Oh, that's rough timing. There were 3 people out when he decided to do it, and 2 or 3 more left while it was happening.
Very unfortunate business, as finally he's going to look to pick up this first flirt. No, he's not.
We're gonna miss the pad, I think is what's gonna happen.
I think he was trying to make it look as though the seduction target took his spot and had to repath. Got a bug just standing there while Yeesh was on a bit of a rotation, so that works out, but...
Yeah, even after the highlights, after he's clearly become a suspect, he gets away with the bug. I don't know if he's going to be able to get away with much more, though, is the problem. Can he... Now, he can probably finish his inspects without dying, and the seduce almost certainly too, but what's that last mission going to be with this highlight?
That is the question, to be sure. Stepping back in the statues to finish the inspect. Still plenty of time on the clock, so now's a good time to do it. Especially with the section target indisposed, although you could have gone to that statue as well.
He's not dead yet. Again, that highlight is just for like a weird little pad maneuver. Maybe it didn't look quite right to him. Didn't look quite right to me either, even though I see what he was probably going for. But what can you do here?
One cycle at the second statue visit. That is definitely a spy-like thing. Generally speaking,
you gotta force this flirt.
AI will two-cycle, I think, about 80% of the time. Like, they will two-cycle a lot.
It's good. I think he's doing absolutely the right thing getting this flirt here, because if he gets this flirt, he can do one of several missions and then come back and finish with the flirt. But if he doesn't hurry up and get that now, he's going to be chasing it around at the end, and you do not want to be doing that on Modern. The question is, what's it going to be? I don't think you can rush a transfer. I think a Delegate Purloin is maybe your best option. That has a lot of risks too, but then again, what are you going to do? You're high-lit with a minute left on Modern against one of the better snipers in the game. You're going to do something risky. I think maybe he's thinking flirt into direct Purloin?
Problem with the Delegate is the clock. We only have under a minute now to play. 73% on the flirt is plenty, but we need to find another mission.
Yeah, it looks like he's deciding to wait till the very end, and there is a benefit to that too, which is that if there is someone being suspicious, this gives them another 30 seconds to maybe get themselves shots to spare him the decision.
Timer, flirt, 100% on that means another completion. The beep beeps have now begun. We need something, and it looks like it's going to try to be a swap.
And it's going to be the statue the sniper has to rotate the most to see at the end.
It's a very good position for it. 18 seconds. He looks over. I don't even know if he took a glance at that statue. He may have missed the first statue visit completely and thought that was for finishing inspects.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure. I think he was just on him. He didn't have to shoot for the inspect earlier. It's possible he missed it, but I just don't think so. I think he was just thinking this is the only person it could be. Maybe more suspicious for that highlight than we thought. It's also possible it's just an aggressive shot. You're right. It's possible that he missed the inspect before and shot him anyway. But at that point, you're crediting a lot of stuff that you would have theoretically missed.
Yeah. Hard to say, but definitely could not see any sort of swap business going on there.
Yeah, maybe just doesn't want to mess around. Sometimes shots are jumpy too. Sometimes you think it's someone and you're almost positive and you're waiting for a reason, and they don't technically give you that reason, but they do something and you think, you know what? I don't want to get caught up in any green swap nonsense and talk myself out of it. I'm just going to take the shot. Especially on these long Modern games, it's not always perfectly rational. I've taken shots where the perfectly rational robotic thing to do would be to wait. But I also want the game to be over, and I'm 90% sure it's them, and sometimes you just want to take that shot.
Either way, it was a strong shot, and it definitely worked out. It is 2-2 going into OpiWrites' pick of Library.
Yeah, and you got to trace it back to that little move in that conversation. Given that he got away with the bug afterwards, you got to imagine that was kind of where the game was lost.
Yeesh starting things off on the spy side for the loudest library I've ever seen. OpiWrites on the sniper side. Let's see how we play this time around. It's another big one.
Yeah, and I'll remind you that going into this year, Yeesh had never played Library in SCL because it didn't exist the last time he played in the SCL.
Yeesh in for his first flirt, had to go all the way across map for it, but only gets a white test for his trouble for 34%.
Yeah. And Yeesh's week 1 opponent Turnout picked Library, and Yeesh went 3-0 on it en route to a shutout.
That was a bit of a missed pad, but we had a lot of cover from the pillars, so wound up working out just fine. Taking the Purloin off the back of it, hits the green test and steps away. He was definitely seen there, though.
It's going to be interesting. The green Purloin with pillar cover is, even though people know it's a thing, it's such a big deal.
He saw the fade.
Oh, this is huge, though. He high-lit the Taker.
And actually just took a shot as well. I'm pretty sure he was rotating over when he saw the fade happen and thought it was white.
This is where I think the lack of experience hurts you a little bit. They're not done. There's no way they're done. I get it's tough, but in that case, you could see he saw the fade as he whipped back over, and this is a key distinction. If you can look over and you get about a second to resituate yourself and you see the fade, that's when you really see it. If you whip over and see it immediately, it is so much harder to be confident about it. And in that case, he felt so strongly it was a white that he high-lit and then thought better of it and shot right afterwards while a bug was happening on the other side of the venue.
That is our first spy win of the game, OpiWrites. That can never feel good when you do that as a sniper side.
It can't, and it's going to feel particularly bad for Opie because I know that he knows that this is something he has to work on, is the quick shots, the aggressive shots. And Yeesh, by the way, Opie at the start of this game too.
There's certainly something there that caused that highlight. 51% on the flirt is solid, but yeah, there could definitely be some flirt pairing going on.
That's big trouble. And it's funny because Opie was clearly respecting Yeesh's ability to do that on Modern, where I guess it's a little more obvious. Obviously on Library, a little more likely to get away with it. But in this case, the opposite's happened. He was cautious about flirt on Modern and it didn't help him. Now he's aggressive about it on Library and it hurts him. But yeah, Opie knows, by the way, Opie has, in his short Spy Party competitive career, has already shown a lot of aggressive shots. And he's been right about them a lot. But, you know, it seems like you have an instinct for it, and then you just keep playing, and the numbers even out over time. That's kind of what we've seen from Opie, is that the aggressive shots have been wrong a little more often as time has gone on, because it's just hard to be right that quickly, that often.
He has really slowed down after that flirt, though. Hasn't been doing much since, and is now in yet another innocent conversation. Just over 3 minutes to play at this point. What to do, or actually he's just going to go for the briefcase here, pick up a fingerprint while he's in the area.
Yeah, and this is tricky. This sort of incremental progress is really good if you're not an early suspect, but if you are, it's rough. And Library, like Modern, like any really 5 mission required map, it's the same thing as I mentioned as Modern. Ooh, bump back down, I guess, for not obviously flirting since. But any of these 5 mission maps, they kind of have that thing in common with Modern that I mentioned, which is simply that once you're on to someone, it's very easy to see how spy-like they are as they complete missions.
Not able to get the flirt done as the seduction target steps away with the book. Opie writes, does he have another plan for this yellow bookcase? No, he's just going to put it away.
Yeah, being very cautious.
Certainly a difficult situation. Gets high-lit once again. Conversation with the double agent here. But there are a number of people outside of conversation. This is not a good time for the contact. But no, it might be a good enough time for the Purloin as he hits that green test. We'll see where... Oh, Toby's taking a trip with it.
Oh, wow. And Yeesh low-lit the people on that side, which means he doesn't have any reason to look at the list now. And the list has been purloined off screen by Smallman.
List is gone. Opie has no idea. I think he might have just saw it.
Or Yeesh, rather, yeah. So that was really interesting. Yeesh took behavioral lowlights on the far left. Nope. Oh, boy. He's narrowed it down. This isn't... Yeah, Opie's in big trouble now. So what's interesting here... Yep, shot. Wow, what a recovery.
Wow. That is an impressive shot. My goodness.
So a couple things might have happened here. What's interesting is Yeesh, while Toby went to the far left side of the venue after the reject, which is exactly what you generally want with a green purloin, he was low-lighting people over there for just hanging out too long, I think is what's going on. When he low-lit them, he had no reason to look at the list anymore because there was no one who wasn't a low-light, I think, on the far left side. So he doesn't look at the list purloin at all. After it happens, he realizes it's happened. Possible he remembers the reject. It's also possible that he just felt very strongly that it wasn't X, Y, or Z. That narrows the party down so much. And then at that point, maybe he remembers, wait, didn't I have this person highlighted in the beginning of the match? That might be the case. Whatever it was, it looked like he had made a huge mistake with the purloin, but he recovered very quickly in the end, and now he has the advantage.
That was a very impressive shot by Yeesh, and now he's up 4-2 and on the spy side. Opie writes, needs to find a way back into this game at some point, sooner rather than later.
And I'm a little curious about some of those lowlights and why he didn't even seem to really rethink some of them after the purloin. You think the purloin goes off on that side of the venue and it's totally off screen, right? How do you not reconsider anything? He seemed really confident it was queen.
Yeesh starting off strong with the 1% flirt.
Now, obviously, if queen hadn't been at center statue, the crazy thing is maybe it works better then. Maybe then he's forced to reconsider. But the fact that she was at a mission site right afterwards, and a mission site where if he missed something earlier, maybe she's about to finish? That forced... True. So it might not be that he was positive. It might be that the queen's behavior there forced him to make a decision, and it was the right one. That's possible, too.
Either way, very strong start from Yeesh as well. Look at this! Already done with the flirt. Green test microfilm at the green bookcase.
Off
This
screen. Yep, because Opie is busy potentially flirt pairing Smallman and Morgan, who are crammed together at Blue Bookshelf. He's trying to track these flirts, and so far it's actually cost him because other things are happening off screen.
does get that highlight, but man, oh man, this is a powerful start from Yeesh as he steps in with the double agent here. Seduction follows again.
Banana bread.
Oh, that's huge! Look at all the people getting knocked out! Both of the possible flirt pairings I mentioned earlier, that's 2 highlights, and that's 2 of the best buggers in the game.
Oh my gosh.
Yeesh gave up something there for sure with that BB. It wasn't a bad one at all, but those 2 suspects that he had just flirt paired, he got to knock them right back out, including Smallman. That is big.
Yeah, absolutely. And because they were all clustered there, that was 5 definitive lowlights.
Yes. Oh, that is what you want when you're looking at half a library like that and the BB goes off and you can just see with confidence that everyone is moving or alone and you know everyone on my screen can get low lit.
Look at that microfilm. That was beautiful.
Totally off screen, though. It doesn't even matter. It didn't have to be beautiful. Opie was looking on the left again. He's watching the Amba. Toby was there with him. The only thing on the right side of the venue to worry about was the spy.
Just over 2 minutes to play. Contact done. Seduce done. Transfer microfilm very nearly there as well.
Yeah, he's in pretty good shape right now. He's a suspect, certainly. But is he enough of a suspect that he's going to get shot if he can just get one good hardtail mission off and maybe go to statues?
Well, putting the book back innocently, apparently, is going to help. But with a minute and 30 left, he still needs 2 more missions.
I think he's actually in a bit of trouble here. This party's pretty narrowed down. That BB was so big, and he's doing things late. And OpiWrites can afford to stare at a lot of his highlights now, if he wants.
Can indeed side statues now.
He doesn't like Seeker, the people on the right. He was baiting a bug attempt. He is really worried about a bug on that side, which means that Yeesh may be, while he might be a suspect, is not an overwhelming top suspect yet.
I'm so surprised he should go statue to statue there. I think he's going to go for a time ad instead. No, he's not.
He's got enough time to do a few things here. Yeah, I think a green purloin into an inspect would be pretty powerful. There's the statue. Here we go. Yeah, now that he's going back.
There it is. Green
watching.
swap on the board.
It's going to be a green, though. He doesn't even care. Oh, nope, he thought better, but I think he phantomed a white for just a second. He was expecting a swap, and that's significant because it means when the swap goes off in a second, guess who his shot probably is?
Reasonably
Who's going to take it?
Pair of bounces.
Oh, low light's taking it. That's huge.
Oh man, he might not even look at this.
Can he see it? You can see just a little bit of the statue.
I don't think it's enough. 4 seconds.
He's going to have 1 second.
There's no way the shot comes off, and Yeesh makes another one happen on the spy side of the library.
And Opie was so close on that one. He is going to be absolutely kicking himself. You saw he almost shot for a non-swap. It's almost like when it looks like they're blocking that late swap on library, right? You know you might have a literal second to shoot.
Yeah.
So the second they get out of the way, you have to read what the statue is, make sure it's changed, and shoot them immediately. They use so little time sometimes if they do it just right. So that's what he was ready to do. He was so ready to do it that he almost shot him mistakenly, quote unquote, almost shot the spy mistakenly because a swap had not gone off. That's how on it he was. The question is then, if that's what you think is happening, don't you have to watch that statue to see if someone gets pulled over right afterwards? Because if they do, it's either the spy doing that for them, or it's a green swap, or it's a hell of a coincidence. And in this case, it's a low light, and he's not watching it closely enough.
Opie was looking at Yeesh that entire game, and it still wasn't enough. That's got to get in your head as you step into the spy side yourself. Yeesh on the sniper looking to go up by 4 games.
Yeah. Now, he did go back to look at the swap. There was a little bit of bad luck. If Twin holds that up a little clearer, I think he absolutely shoots Yeesh. He was ready. Yeah. That was going to be a shot. He didn't get a good look at the stat.
I think you're right. What is happening right now?
My goodness. What did we miss?
Ah,
Okay, I don't want to rush to judgment here. But is this the kind of thing where one of them forgets that this venue actually starts with more time now? And he thinks a time ad's taken place.
that could very well be.
It's been bumped up to 4:30, and if you forget that and you look up at the clock and it says 4:15 in the beginning or something, you're going to lowlight everyone who you don't think could have been at Windows. And in this case, that includes the spy. Here's the problem, though. OP has absolutely no reason to think he's low-lit if that's what's happened.
Wow, that's a bit of a shocker. Oh, and look, it's a time ad now. Now we get a time ad.
I mean, he's right. Oh, boy. This is very unfortunate competitively. This is a change that literally happened last night.
Oh,
and now, okay, is he remembering?
I think it might be.
Or, no, he's noticed the green, and he's switching some of them. Wow.
I don't know what's happening, but I know I like it.
Some of the neutral lights got low lit, which makes sense if you notice the second time ad. Some of the low lights got bumped back up. One of them is the spy. Is this a net win or loss for Yeesh that he got low lit, bumped back up, but he also got away with a time ad, partial seduce, and a fingerprint? I guess this is a slight advantage.
All right, yeah. Let's bring it back down to earth. Let's talk about what happened during all that mayhem. We've gotten one fingerprint, we've gotten 74% on the flirt, and we've gotten a time ad. We are neutral lit at this point in time. There is about half the party low lit, half the non-cast party low lit, but we do not have a highlight.
And there's something else too. He can't be that confident in his lights, can he?
Yeah, no, not at all.
I mean, much you figured out after the fact, just the changes alone. The thing is, Opie has no idea any of this is happening, but if he did, you have to figure that the odds of a civilian shot are way up just because of the sheer chaos. And the idea that you've missed a lot of stuff, that you're going to feel behind, two have taken place, that's rough.
Briefcase for Opie did not get a chance to get a second fingerprint off of it. 97% on the flirt! No, don't do it, Opie!
Ugh. And, boy, more light changes over there on the far right. I'm going to stop trying to analyze these. It's like a freaking nightclub in here, man.
Yeah, I think Yeesh is, like, trying to watch the party and his memory at the same time. It's a very difficult situation to be in. There's the contact coming off.
Actually, that only knocked out one of the remaining people, which isn't bad.
No, not at all. And also might make Yeesh finally lock in his lights.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential explanations here. All of them feel a little strange. I will say that if what we think might have happened, I would have been personally very tempted to just neutralize everybody and say, you know what, I'm a little behind. I'll play a little more aggressively from this point forward, but I don't want to give up anything too cheap.
Fingerprint at the center statue, as well as a rack of inspects.
I'm worried about it. Ooh, boy.
Right there. That was almost too many cycles, but it worked out.
And by the way, even though that wasn't like OP about to finish, Yeesh was staring at it like it was because, again, all this time has passed. His internal clock is saying library mission win complete imminent.
Just over a minute to play. We need one mission and contact is no longer on the board. Inspect is no longer on the board. We still have bug available. We still have purloin available if we need a fast mission.
I think both are viable.
Another time ad!
And more lowlights. Yeesh is really on these time ads. And just through process of elimination and then the bug. Jeez, what a weird game. We're going to need to hop into the Discord tonight, everybody. You're going to want to hear Yeesh talk about this one, I think.
Yeah, that was a very nice, a very weird game, but man, hats off to Yeesh for pulling that back. That was not an easy thing to do, but look at the scoreline right now. Yeesh is one game away from taking this. Opie needs to find something big. 5 games.
So OpiWrites, let's say more than help. Yeah, let's say OpiWrites split Yeesh's map pick, which technically it's a tie, but you got to call it a slight advantage because it was their pick. Now Yeesh sweeps him on library? I did not see that coming.
No, I don't think anybody saw that coming. This is really, really big. Now we step into pub, any 3 of 5, the Softel variant, Yeesh on the spy side, Opie. This is the moment. Gotta make it happen now.
Yeah, and this is not what you want. You don't want to be doing it on this. Well, you don't want to be doing it at all. I mean, Pub's a little swingier than most, but Yeesh is pretty good at this. He knows a lot of behavioral stuff, and Opie's going to have to be very clean.
And now, after the insanity that was the last game, get ready to slow it down because this is not a fast game mode.
No, it is not. It is very chill and very behavioral, and sometimes you end up waiting quite a while for things to happen because because Pub, frankly, has a little more time probably than it needs.
Each got caught up on the corner of the bar there on his way around, but now we're just waiting for a drink and scoping things out.
Yeah, and the story of this match so far, we'll see if it ends up changing in the end if anything crazy happens. But the story is mainly how on Opie's spy Yeesh has been, because he has felt in control of almost all these games, even the chaotic one. It just
Yeah.
felt like he knew what to look for, and he didn't always find it right away, and sometimes he took a long way to get there. But once he saw something that he was looking for from Opie, he got his teeth into him, and that was it.
Highlight on Yeesh for one reason or another after he's come away with a delegate. Hasn't been in a position to use it yet, though, as the bar is pretty much empty now, actually. Drink is gone. It's been gulped. Fall in conversation. Probably isn't going to be able to get a
Wow.
delegate.
There's a lot going on there. Everyone's in
Yeah.
this. Jeez.
Yeah, look at that. That's the only. Oh God, that's a problem.
Oh wow. And oh boy, Opie needed that because I did not trust in this situation Opie was going to be able to avoid shooting an AI. And that just makes it nice and easy for him. And boy, isn't that what you want when you're facing match point for the other player? They just give you a nice, easy out to relax with.
Absolutely, that is huge for Opie. If there's ever a way to get back into a game, that's it. It's a good mental reset. Good to reset yourself, if not necessarily your opponent, because they know that's not going to happen again.
Yeah, you just need to relax at this point. And this is a huge game because if he wins this, not only is it his first spy win, but then he only needs to win 2 games on Ballroom. And that is a much better fit for Opie's spy.
Let's see. He's got to get one on Pub first. And starts things off with a traffic jam on the way through the door.
And I actually think it's lucky that he can't rush a flirt there, because I think that would have burned him.
I agree.
And Yeesh is going for statue highlights. There are a couple different things you can reasonably highlight for. There's so many venues where, even if it's boring to highlight for statues, you kind of just have to do it. It's clearly the best move unless you want to memorize them or can memorize them easily. But on Pub, you can make an argument for a lot of different things. Real BB is very popular and one of my favorites. Obviously, statues again, or bar visitors, which decay over time if you're good at that.
Opie went window to window to wait to see where his seduction would go, and then followed him over real quick. Didn't actually flirt yet. There's the flirt coming off.
By the way, Bug is turned off, leaning a little more into frame possibilities here.
That is very interesting. 26% off of this first
Banana
flirt.
bread.
Contact coming off as well. One low light.
Not bad at all. And 2 highlights are in the conversation with the other SDA. That's about as good as you're gonna get. That is really good for Opie. His chances of winning have definitely gone up with that.
Absolutely. 2 minutes and 10 on the clock. We've got one mission done and the first flirt.
Yeesh's lowlights and highlights are a little concerning, though. You can see there's a statue visitor there in Wheels who is not highlit, and all the people in there with Opie in the other conversation are lowlit for one reason or another, and the sniper's indicating on his cam that he thinks it's General.
All right. Let's see what happens. This is going to be tight. Minute and 45 with a lot of time left on the clock.
This has the makings of a heartbreaker, though, because we know General could get himself shot. Opie doesn't.
This is true.
And well, look at that. He can't fit into that conversation. He can't jam himself in for that flirt, so he's going to go to the inspect instead. And flirting twice after that's going to be tough.
This is very true. And one of those also has to be a green test. Don't forget, safety went off for a moment there. Decides not to take the shot. Minute and 10. Now we're both Opie and General very high on the list.
And nobody has moved from that conversation. Still doesn't want to jam himself in. So you know what it's going to be. He's going to give himself the purloin option.
I don't think he's going to go for this delegate. I think
oh, jeez, if the SD comes to
just
him.
In case.
This would be huge. This would be lucky.
Windows doesn't get the SD joining him at Windows, but he can absolutely chug this drink. Not gulp it, chug it.
Nope, he sees it. It took too long.
It took too long. And
wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's it.
That's it. That is it. I thought Opie was going to make this closer. I genuinely did. I thought he'd be a little more on Yeesh's spy, and he mostly was, but the thing was, Yeesh was even more on his. Yeesh felt in control of almost all those games. That pub game there was really the only game where Opie felt like he was really close to winning as spy.
Man, Yeesh's sniper was just incredible that set.
Yeah, it felt like he knew what to look for, and again, it felt like he had a checklist of things to look for, and when he saw one of them, it was over, is kind of what it felt like.
Yeah, I think you're right. Very impressive stuff indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeez.
All right, I believe that means we are moving on to Alexari versus Kmars in Copper. Congrats to Yeesh on the live win.
Yeah. Is that... How do you pronounce Alexari's name? I assumed it was Alexair.
That's what I say, but I will admit I don't know.
Well, this is going to be awkward.
It's okay. Well, do we want to just decide collectively to say Alexair so we're not up? Or we could all three of us could pronounce it differently so that one of us is guaranteed to be right.
Okay. I'm down with that.
All right, so we are jumping over into Copper. Do we know the regions that these players are